This is 3ABN Now with John and Rosemary Malkovich.
Welcome to the program today. We're glad again that you have joined us. We really enjoy making these programs and bringing you stories and people's testimonies because we know how much people like to hear what has happened in someone else's life, especially when God is involved. And today we have those sorts of stories for you with Robyn and Warren Scale. Now, Warren is a retired ADRA director, but they're both retired nurses. So
that's correct. We both graduated from Sydney Adventist Hospital.
Yes.
For me, 50 years ago.
Oh.
That's telling your age.
You're 52.
And so we are going to listen to your stories of mission work. And I know that people enjoy those stories. So, Don, what have we got?
Well, Warren's chosen a text is found in Romans 8, verse 28, and it says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose." That's a really well-known text, and it's a good text. So just tell us a little bit about it, Warren.
Well, I think for some people we often think that most things work together for good, and except for this problem that we're going through now.
Yeah.
But for us, you know, as we look back over our years, we've been married 50 years next month, and you know, we've had some hard things happen to us, but we can look back and say we know that all things work together for good.
The ultimate is really the outcome that we want, and that's to be at peace with God and with a fellow man and to be in his kingdom.
Yeah, amen.
And Robyn, what's your take on that verse?
It's, things have gone bad in our life, but you know God's leading, and you just look back and you know that you've got nothing to fear for the future because you know what's happened in the past, that God's been with you all the way.
Yes.
And I love that verse.
And you can see how bad things have, well, every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah, and
as
changes you and
goes.
moves you to places and whatever.
And sometimes you think, how is God going to bring something good out of this?
Yes, but he always does.
But as you look back from the future, you can see how it all turned out.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes the devil has a go at you, gets a blow in, and the beautiful thing about God is that he can bring something good out of it.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in our lives.
So you really want God in your lives, folks, because he makes the difference.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, that's a very good verse. I often think of that myself. All things.
Yeah.
work together.
Not just most. All things,
All
no
things.
exceptions.
Yes, that's right. Well, you're going to tell us about some of those things in our story today. And I'm looking forward to hearing these, and I know that you will be too. So, Warren, what is your background? It must have been, I'm sure, very simple, very easy, no problems whatsoever. And your brother is the late Elwyn Scale, who we've actually had on the program a couple of times in years gone by. So tell us about your big brother and your upbringing and how wonderful it was as a kid in the country in Victoria.
So, Elwyn and I were brought up in a family that was life was quite difficult, quite challenging at times, and we had a lot of trials going through our upbringing, and you know, as after Mum and Dad split up and Elwyn left the farm, I was running the farm by myself as a kid. I failed high school because I spent too much time working on the farm, and I thought I was a dumb kid. And
That's just because you weren't at school.
Yeah.
So how many years older than you was Elwyn?
Elwyn was 10 years older than me.
Right. So he left and then left you still as a kid.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Any other brothers or sisters?
Yeah, we had another brother between us. And just an interesting thing that I learnt just recently, that sometimes we push God to do what we want. And my middle brother, Jeff, was quite sick as a kid. And Robyn just shared this with me just a couple of days ago, how my mum pled with God to heal him. And then he went on, had a nervous breakdown at college and ended up with depression and later ended up suiciding. And Mum realised that she'd made the mistake of pushing God. And so it's been a big lesson for us that you don't push God, you allow God to do
So you grew up in an Adventist home?
Yes.
Yeah.
My heritage is the Stewart family. There's Pastor Andrew Stewart, the plains named after, and things like that. It was my great uncle.
All right.
So it was many generations as an Adventist.
And so it's at one stage you ran away from home.
Yeah,
Things were so
a
hard.
couple of times I ran away from home because life was just too hard. I think Mum had very good intentions, but we just didn't feel loved.
But you went back because you had nothing else you could do as a kid.
Nowhere else to go, yeah. So went back.
I heard also that you enjoyed potlucks.
Yeah, potlucks were a great thing to get some decent food because we didn't get decent food at home. So, yeah.
You know, Warren, we've had people on here give their testimonies, and some of the stories that we've heard, they grow up in Adventist homes and things are like a bed of roses. But you're telling us the other side of the story, because that's not always true. And you've experienced things at a young age, because that affects how you look at life and the direction you take, even your relationship with God. So how did you feel to God growing up in that environment?
So I went to church like all kids do with the family and things like that, but it wasn't until when I was about 14, when I was at a youth camp in Victoria, and I heard one of the speakers, and he just gave me a good clear picture of God's love. And I went to bed that night in the dorm at Ken Curran Youth Camp, just sobbing my eyes out. And I finally understood what God's love. And I hadn't experienced that as a kid.
Yeah.
And then to experience that
God's love.
God's love was just brought tears to my eyes. Went to bed sobbing my eyes out.
You know,
But happy?
Very happy.
There's lots of young people even living today. That's going back over 50 years, but today there's the same sort of situation. And we, you know, as adults and senior people in the world, we want to see young people experience the love of God as soon as possible, because it changes your direction.
Yep.
I guess when did you get baptised?
Probably about 13, 14.
13 or 14? Yeah. So it makes a difference, doesn't it, when you understand
does,
that?
Yeah, because God's love is the Bible says it's the goodness of God that leads us to repentance. So when we understand that goodness, that love of God, it melts our hearts.
Yes.
It humbles us.
Yeah.
So that we can get on our knees basically and say, Lord, I'm yours. Take me.
Yeah.
So you grew up feeling you were worthless, being a worker on a farm, but that set you for something in life. You knew how to work.
Yes. Yeah.
So what did you do when you were...
Oh, before we do that, I want to show a photo of you.
Ah.
This is a young Warren. There he is with hair.
Went a long time ago.
Yes, John's got photos like that too.
It was around that time that picture was taken that I was burning some rubbish on the farm, and I'd seen my brothers throw fuel onto the fire to get it going, and they were throwing diesel onto the fire. I didn't know the difference between diesel and petrol as a kid.
Big difference.
And as I learned. And so I got some petrol and threw it onto this fire, and whoosh, just eyes, covered in flames. And I felt someone roll me to the ground, which put out most of the fire. And then I was in hospital for 6 months.
Really?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was during that time that made me think, I'd like to be a nurse. And thought that was going to be, a career that I could do.
Well, see, that's one of the places where God brought out good from a bad situation.
Exactly.
Because that situation pointed you in the direction God wanted you to take.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you've recovered from it. Even though you had 30-degree burns, you recovered from it, and God was able to lead you on with a focus in life.
Yeah.
Because that's what so many people don't have.
And it was there at the scene where I met this young lady who became my wife. And
Well, you failed year 11,
failed year 11.
but
and
you did some extra study and got into nursing.
Yeah, and got into nursing after
Well,
a year at Lilydale.
I want to know about this young lady when she was a young lady. Tell us a little bit about your family and where you were born and other aspects.
I was born at the San. My parents were missionaries in New Guinea, and they came back to Australia, and I was born on furlough. I've got 2 older brothers who were born in New Guinea and Papua.
Yes.
And I went to Pitcairn when I was 3 months old.
So what was your dad doing?
Both my parents had trained as nurses,
Okay.
but when Dad trained as a nurse, he also trained as a minister.
Okay.
So they were medical missionaries,
And their names,
Lester and Frida Hawkes.
right, just so people know that,
Yeah.
because they're very well known.
So how many years did they spend, well, you with them out in the mission field? Do you remember? A number.
Probably 11, 12 years.
That's a long time. That's
with me, but before me there was another 10, because my oldest brother's 10 years older than me, or
So
9
were
years
you born at the San on furlough back?
Yes.
Okay, so people, when you work overseas, the San is the Sydney
Adventist Hospital. And you had to go there to have all your medicals when you came back from
mission work.
mission work,
Yeah.
because, yeah.
So was
So-
it a good time in your early life?
Oh, I had a wonderful time.
I would say as a little white baby on Pitcairn.
I was spoilt.
Yeah.
Mum wouldn't give me stuff. I'd go up the track to someone else's house and they'd give me chocolate or open a tin of fruit or whatever.
Now, Pitcairn is so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
It's so far away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been, and it's only little.
Mm-hmm.
It would have
About
been,
this. Yeah, it's pretty small.
yeah, because that's where Rick Ferrain is
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes,
so let me ask you, what about your schooling? What did you do for schooling in those days?
Pitcairn, there was a school there for my brothers. And then we came back to Australia and then we went to Rabaul in New Guinea.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabaul had primary and high school up to year 10.
So you were with the national people there, living with, going to school with them.
In Rabaul they had a couple of schools,
Yeah.
and there were some nationals at the school I went to, but they were mainly Caucasian,
Okay.
And the expatriate.
expatriates, yeah. But there were nationals there as well. Yeah, we had fun.
So how long were you in Rabaul?
I tried to think about that, and I think it was about 7 years.
Okay.
I came back to Australia just as I was starting high school.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some. My brother that was in boarding school was mucking up, and he needed a parent around him, and so they came back for him to finish his high school.
Yeah.
And then
So-
I stayed in.
So did you go through cultural shock coming back?
Oh yeah.
So what were some of the things that you can remember that really startled you? You thought, hey, this is so different.
I don't know. Probably winter.
The weather? The weather is right.
The weather.
What
The
about
affluence?
the spiritual tone of things out there and back here?
There was a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we went to Castle Hill Church and Parramatta Church. Dad pastored in Parramatta. But I'd go to Castle Hill because we lived near there to go to Pathfinders and stuff like that. Yeah, it was different, and it takes you months and months to understand what the kids here are talking about and
Yes.
their games,
Yeah.
and you know,
That's true. The games.
what interests them. You know, it's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a picture of you too while you were a young lady.
The long hair.
Yeah, high school.
High school. And
It's interesting you both had such very different upbringings.
Yes. Yeah.
Adventist, but very different situations.
And it was interesting becoming a part of the Hawkes family as well, and to have that close bond. I mean, my brother and I, Elwyn, had a close bond, but to feel that love that Robyn had in her family was just really amazing.
very interesting.
Yeah, it was quite interesting.
So how did you meet? I know you went to the San and you also, didn't
Yeah.
you? So how did you meet?
Where did you meet?
Yeah. Because they're all interesting stories. They lead to something fantastic, and we'll see in a minute.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I worked in intensive care. One night I was one of the senior nurses there, and we had this young junior nurse that was there. And
That you looked over to.
that was Robyn.
That was Robyn.
And we had a fun night. And so I said to her, I'd like to get a little bit a bit more friendly and get to know her a bit better. I said, do you want to come down to Turramurra to get something to eat? And she just quietly replied, no thanks, I'm not hungry.
He says, well, that was a fizzle, wasn't it?
I thought, well, that's not going to go anywhere. And so I didn't pursue that anymore until some months later.
You plucked up the courage.
I was going to do some agency work that night, and there's an event on at the Opera House with Kamal at the Opera House.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone else was going, and I was going to stay back and earn some money. And there was no work that night, so I thought, I'll go to the Opera House with everyone else. Hang on, all my friends have got tickets. I'm going to be sitting by myself. I'll go up to the sand, up to the nurses' residence, see if any of the nurses want to come just for some company. And one of my mates said, oh, what about Robyn Hawkes? Used to think she was okay. Yeah, why not? So I asked her this time if she wanted to come. And she said yes.
Oh, she liked Kamal, not you.
Yeah, mate, that's what it was. And then same thing happened a couple of weeks later. I was doing some agency work, and there was no work that night. Again, it was a Saturday night, and asked Robyn out again the second time. And she said yes again. And so that began a friendship.
So you must have impressed her after all.
Yeah, maybe.
The first time you just
What's
hadn't
your
impressed her.
side?
or it was the Lord.
What's your side of the story with this man?
Well, I wasn't hungry. And it was 11 o'clock at night and I wanted to go to bed.
Yeah, I agree. So that started it, and it hasn't finished.
It hasn't finished, no. But there's an interesting story about with the car. Being a bit of a petrol head,
Oh, yes.
I used to enjoy getting cars to go faster and all that sort of thing. And one night I was modifying the exhaust, putting extractors on to make the car go a little bit faster.
Which car?
The Datsun 1600, a legend back in those days.
Uh-huh.
And while I was underneath the car, some of the nurses had come down being friendly. And they giggling and carrying on. And what I didn't realise was until I got out from underneath the car was they'd written "just married" all over the car. And I thought, oh, you mongrels.
And you were a single bloke.
Yeah. And so after you modified the car, you wanted to go faster.
Test it out.
You're going to test out down to Commonara, exactly, John. So I had a mate, Steve Martin, and said, hey, Steve, come on, let's go and test out. I went around the corners and thought, oh, it's sliding a bit more than what it should. Not realising at the time there's a bit of dew. And ran the next corner, it was just sliding and drifting, and got to the point where I couldn't hold it, and it went over the cliff, down and down, down, rolled probably about 8 or 9 times.
Oh.
And again, this is another evidence that God was guiding and leading in my life to preserve my life. The car landed on its wheels, and Steve and I made our way back up the top of the hill and went back up to the sand. And
Out of a terrible car wreck.
yeah, have a terrible car wreck.
Because it was a write-off.
Yeah, I mean, that is a terrible car wreck.
Yeah.
You're lucky to have walked out of that
Yeah, that's not
alive,
lucky. That's
let
God's
alone
blessing.
not badly injured.
Yeah. Anyway, the police came up later that night about 2 or 3 a.m. and they said, we're trying to find your wife. Was your wife in the car when you left the church?
Because it had just married all over
It
it.
had just married written all over it. And they're searching and searching. And I said, no, I'm not married. And they said, it's okay, we understand you've had a hit in the head and you've probably forgotten that you're married. Was your wife in the car with you when you left the church? And I said, no. And eventually I was able to convince them that
It was a prank.
it was just a prank and that I wasn't married. And they said, we've been searching down the bottom of that cliff for an hour and a half trying to find your wife and she doesn't exist. So they weren't very happy.
No, they wouldn't have been. No, so God preserved your life. Again, like
Again.
with the fire, with the
yep.
petrol.
And with
And
that,
now another petrol.
Yeah.
It was a car.
yeah. And so now we're starting to think that God's preserved my life for a reason.
Yeah. And so you met and you got married. Mm-hmm. And then what did you do?
We worked in Sydney for a bit and got a bit bored and decided we'd start travelling around Australia.
I'd seen my brother Owen do that. And we
Yes.
thought he's had a lot of adventures. And
Yeah.
we thought we'd do that too.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
But we have a picture of your wedding photo too.
Yes.
So this is
Isn't it
important.
lovely?
Just shows you how young you were back then.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't
50
worry, John, you were young ones too.
Yeah, 50 years ago. So we've been very blessed. So we started travelling in Australia, and we got no nursing work in Cairns, and so there's another guy who was looking for work in the tin mines, and so I thought I'll grow up on a farm. I can do most things, so we go and did it. So we're driving dump trucks and drilling rigs and blasting and all sorts of fun things.
Bit different to nursing.
Very different. That was familiar from the farm days, and
So
somehow Robyn became pregnant.
I was going to say, you were driving dump trucks.
No,
and-
no, no. I didn't. I helped. I don't know what I did. I helped.
You're a kept wife.
I was. No, there was a garden with the veggies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you found out you're having a child.
And so just a couple of weeks before Rob was due, we had the strong impression or urge that we should come back down to Gippsland to my brother Elwyn's place. Robyn's parents were in Papua New Guinea at that time, so our family was my brother. And so we didn't have enough money to pay for the fuel, and so Rob got a panning dish and was going through the tailings of the mine, what was the
What was
waste.
coming out from the jigs, the machines.
And we were able to get enough tin within a few days, and to sell that tin at the highest price what it
It
was.
was amazing.
And you're highly pregnant.
Oh, I had a backache. It was terrible.
And so after about a week, we got back down to Gippsland, Victoria, to Owen's place, and we saw a doctor there.
With the funds she got from the...
Yeah.
funds that we got from the selling the
You
tin.
should have been doing that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when I did it before, you didn't get much, but this time it was very fine tin. It was good quality tin, but it was...
And we wondered whether the Lord sort of helped.
I was... Someone may have seen you did it and they added extra.
Yeah.
They
That
seeded
happens,
it.
you know.
Yeah. And so we booked Robyn in to see the doctor for the birth, and judging by the position of the baby, we thought there's going to be a caesarean section. And so the day came and Robyn was in, and I was waiting outside the operating theatre, and I'd been a theatre nurse, and I knew what was going on and how long it should take. And it was quite some time before they came out to tell me, and it was bad news. Our firstborn was spinal bifida and hydrocephalic. And
You just explain them both to the
so
viewers.
hydrocephalic means that the brain's got a lot of water in it, and the spinal bifida means that the spinal cord's not connected all the way down the back of the neck, down your back. So she was a
It was
retard.
very high up in her back.
Yeah.
And so after 10 days, our little girl, Christy, we called her, she passed away. And, we were young, we had the joy of our firstborn, only to be dashed and to be really low. And
Yes.
Rob's parents were in Papua New Guinea, and I understood then why we had this urge to come back down to Victoria to be with family, because we needed it.
Yeah.
When you're
Yes.
grieving, when you're hurting.
You
it's
also
just-
needed better medical help.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
lovely to be with family. So Rob's dad said, it's often good to do something therapeutic, to do something to help others. It's therapeutic for yourself. And so he said, why don't you go over to the Thai-Cambodian border and work in refugee camps as nurses for 3 months as volunteers.
Because that was the time during Pol Pot.
Yeah.
That was the time of Pol Pot, the refugees
And
from
people racing
Cambodia
across the border.
came across the border, yeah. And so we thought, let's do that. And
It was where Pol Pot was... Vietnam was invading, getting rid of Pol Pot, but it was just turmoil there.
yeah.
There was, you didn't know who was fighting who half the time.
Yes,
So-
and the people were just getting out
Yeah.
to save their lives.
So
With
we-
nothing.
With
basically.
nothing.
Yeah. So we were accepted as nurses, and we went for 3 months as volunteers. And pardon me, we were working in this one refugee camp called Kawidang. And I think we've got a picture of Robyn there looking after one of the patients that was in this refugee camp of 200,000 people. And there were stories of people who were coming in and they were able to get food for the first time, and they ate so much that their stomach ruptured. and rice went all through their belly, and they died. But while we were there, we'd heard about this other camp called Soksan, and it was a refugee village across the border with very little support. And we'd heard
Actually in Cambodia?
Actually in Cambodia. And we'd heard of a doctor who came back and he said, oh, the food was terrible, the water was terrible, it was brown, it had twigs in it, and food was so hot you couldn't eat it, and it was dangerous, there was gunfire around and things like that. And he said, while I was there, I was so desperate that I was almost ready to start reading my Bible. And I thought, what's wrong with you, mate? And that was a challenge for us. But we want to be careful too, because Robyn and Ali just had a caesarean section not long before. And we knew it was going to be hard.
And tropical.
Very hot.
Very
Very
easy
hot.
to get infection.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we said we would go with the condition that if it didn't work out for Rob, that after 2 weeks we'd come back and go back to a normal placing in Karadung.
Yeah.
And so they said, yeah, sure, let's go. Now, this village of 7,000 people was decimated in the previous wet season and was reduced from a population of 7,000 down to 3,500.
That's a lot of people.
And that was, from malaria, from the war, malnutrition and things like that. And the year that we were there, we only lost 38 people. So you could see that we were making a difference.
Yeah,
It
they really needed the help.
They needed the help.
Physically.
And there was just so much needs, so much that just kept us motivated to keep on going. And I think we've got a picture too of Robyn looking after a lady.
Yeah, tell us this story, Robyn, about this baby.
There's this one lady that came to this clinic who she had a child with her which was about 8, and she'd had, I think it was quite a few pregnancies, I think it was 10, but she only had that one living child and this pregnancy now. And the rest of it all died with the Pol Pot and landmines and whatever.
It's terrible.
And I thought, what have I got to worry about? I lost one child. How many has she lost?
Yes.
God,
Put into perspective.
it puts it into, yeah.
So how did you feel while you were there? How did you cope with all this?
It would have been tough.
It was hard, and
Did you want to come back and he wanted to stay?
No. I don't know. I knew I could do it. I mean, we lived in a little tent on the side of a hill, and they'd made like a bamboo slat bed that we slept on. The tent was on the ground here and a couple of feet up there, and the other side. But yeah.
I hear people talking about they want a mattress this thick and, all these things. And you're on a bamboo.
But we did have a mattress, but it looked good until you lay on it.
Yeah.
What about food? Did you lose weight or what?
Yes.
You did?
I lost a lot of weight.
So we were used to eating rice maybe once a year.
Yeah,
Christmas
and now you
pudding.
eat 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
Eggs.
And eggs and rice for breakfast and for lunch and for tea.
Yes.
And the next day the same, the next day.
And lots of chilli.
Yeah.
And we weren't used to chilli.
Well, you have
So-
to have the chili to put some flavour in.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's so much
it was
to
really
start
hard.
with.
Wasn't much drinking water or even water to bathe with or anything like that.
So how did you, get supplies? Were you paid a wage or salary?
Fortnightly, a truck came with food.
Yeah.
But you're
For
on
the whole
stipend?
village.
No, not at that stage.
So how were you paying and living apart from...
Well, SAWS, the precursor to ADRA, was supplying our food.
Okay.
And
But it was food for the village as well.
so
Yeah, so
we
you
were
didn't
just...
have any expenses.
So you
No.
were truly working, in a capacity that you weren't doing it for money.
No.
You were doing it for another reason.
Humanitarian.
Yeah.
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 And so that's what motivated you, because you had a desire to help other people, because that's what I'm hearing from both of you.
Yeah. So I guess in the beginning we were there as a therapy for ourselves, but when you're seeing people dying around you and people like the story that Robyn told about, we realised that we weren't so bad off after all.
Yes.
And then at the end of the 3 months our time was up and they said, can you stay a bit longer? Can you stay a bit longer? Can you stay a bit longer? And we did.
Because you can sort of think, well, I can put up with this for 3 months, then I'll be over with it and I'll be going.
Yeah.
And then at the end of 3 months, can you stay longer and say, oh, I can maybe put up with it for another 3 months?
Yeah.
But at the end of 6 months, we said we haven't got any money left. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't buy shampoo or anything, so we needed.
I still needed shampoo back then.
So what evolved out of that? What did you decide to do?
So we kept on working in the refugee camp that we were in, and then we're asked to be the border coordinator of all the refugee camps and then about a year after that, we were called into Bangkok as the deputy director for SAWS, which then became ADRA, and then ADRA was born, and then we realised that we had a calling or a work for doing development work in Thailand, not just working with the refugees. And so that started us off on actually being in a career for ADRA. We were paid then.
So you became the ADRA director for Thailand?
For Thailand, yeah, correct.
It would have been quite a difference going from the refugee camps to Bangkok.
Yeah,
Very,
into
very
a house.
Yeah.
Hot water,
Yeah.
Into water, yeah.
running water.
Running water.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of malaria during that time, and we were taking quinine tablets each day for prevention. Robyn got malaria many times. There's a kind of malaria called Vivax that would recur each month, and she became quite sick with that. I got malaria a number of times. Went into liver failure, and or the liver function just stopped working. And I can remember one day, it was on Sabbath, I was in the hospital in Bangkok Adventist Hospital, which we know about.
Yes.
And there's Dr. Kreider who was there.
Dr. Kreider, beautiful Dr. Kreider.
Beautiful Dr. Kreider. And he was my doctor. And he said, when you're in liver failure, you've got to be on strict bed rest. And on Sabbath morning, I sneaked out, went to the bathroom, and he came in as I was getting back to bed. And then Robyn said later that he had tears in his eyes because he thought that was going to be the thing that killed me. But miraculously, my liver started functioning again.
And God preserved your life again.
God preserved my life again. So it was just miraculous again, that my life has been preserved.
Dr. Kreider walked me down the aisle when I married John.
Lovely gentleman,
man.
lovely gentleman.
Beautiful
Yeah.
man.
Now, how did you feel knowing that you could lose your husband? What was going through your mind?
It was a bit of unbelief of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think I was worried. I don't know what's going to happen. I was a bit lost or something. I don't know what it was. It's just wait and see.
Yeah.
So did you have a good time in Thailand after you recovered?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So
we came to love Thailand.
As an ADRA director, what work did that involve you both in fact?
Just before we start, I just want to share there was probably 3 times while we're living in this village in Sok San where the Vietnamese would attack.
Oh, okay.
And they were, firing rockets into us and that sort of stuff. And I remember one morning very clearly with Dr. Kreider, who spoke Thai, and then someone said to him in Thai, you need to get down. And we weren't sure whether to get down underneath the table to hide from the rockets, or they said to get down off the mountain and further into Thailand. They said, no, you've got to get into Thailand. And because we were attacked quite frequently, we used to keep our personal belongings in a bucket. That's all we had. Had some medicines and some clothes, and we ran on 3 different occasions where the shells were falling around us. And you've got a tree here, and you think, do I hide this side of the tree? But if the shell falls that side, you're going to be exposed. And so you try and work out which side of the tree to fall on, to hide behind as the shells are falling. And so again, we just thank God that there was, our lives again were preserved those 3 times. There's one time when Robyn was in a car that was being driven out. We sent the ladies out first, and the shells were falling.
Each side of the road. It was like they knew where the road was, but they were missing it. You know,
They kept adjusting.
we'd turn the corner and it would go
Yeah.
there, and we'd turn the
Yeah.
corner that way and it would go there. It was, yeah.
And you're trying to escape across the border. How far was the border from the camp?
You know, you're telling the story. It's easy to tell the story, but we don't realise what's going on in the mind and the fear.
The fear.
Yeah, and I can imagine a group of ladies in the car. They wouldn't be quiet, would they?
I don't know. Maybe I was screaming. I don't know.
Sometimes when you're too terrified to make a noise.
Yeah.
You're just quiet.
But how far was it?
How
You're
far
having to
was it?
travel
About
from
10 k's.
10 k's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would feel like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a no man's land?
No.
Sort of. Well,
No, it was a border. There's a front line. There's Khmer soldiers would defend that where we were, and then the Vietnamese would attack. To try
and then you had to get it
rid of the
into
resistance.
Thailand. There was Thai soldiers there.
Yeah.
I can imagine the thoughts are going on for one another. She's gone out, I'm here.
Yeah.
How's it all going to
Yeah. How's it
play out?
play
Are you going to see one another again?
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing, war.
It is. Yeah.
But you made it to Bangkok and you stayed in
We all
Bangkok.
survived.
Stayed in Bangkok.
How long were you in Bangkok?
13 years.
Yeah, in Thailand, total of 13 years. So
How long were you adjunct director?
probably 11 years. It was interesting. As we got the country office of Thailand going, we were asked to go into Cambodia to start some ADRA work in Cambodia, which we did as well. And that was interesting because we'd been on the Cambodian border, but now going inside Cambodia, the people who were there that had been attacking us are now our friends there to protect us.
Yeah.
And that was such an interesting concept, and I was quite nervous going in for the first time.
Yes.
Not sure how much they knew about me as a person or whatever. But yeah, we started the ADRA work in Cambodia.
So Robyn, when you were in Bangkok, what work did you do?
Well, to start with, it was basically, we had children there. Both our kids were born there, so I was the mum for first few years. Then we were living on the mission compound, and there was a small school there. And
At
I sort of
Ekamai.
was, at Ekamai. And I sort of became the school nurse.
Okay.
And yeah,
So what are your children's names?
Julie and Steve.
So they were with you there for the
They were
whole
born in
time?
Bangkok.
So we lost our first one, and then we had two more. We had another two pregnancies, and,
Yes.
and they were both fine. So it's interesting for us. The one that was made in Australia didn't do so well, but the ones that were made in Thailand did better. So again, we thank God that we've been able to have two,
Healthy.
kids,
Healthy
healthy,
kids.
and grandkids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we feel very blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is nice to have grandkids. That's a special. Children
So-
are a blessing from God, but
So-
grandchildren are a double blessing.
Yeah.
Where did you go after Bangkok?
So
Because that's where we first met you.
yes,
in Bangkok.
yeah.
Yeah.
So after 13 years in Thailand, we were asked to go to Singapore, to Forest Division as it was then in Singapore, and providing program support for all of the countries in Asia. And it was interesting then, some of the hardships that we'd learnt about, difficulties of not having enough water, and some of the programming things that we learnt like that were able to be a blessing to other country officers.
You
through
implemented
Asia.
bore drilling and
Yeah, a lot of well drilling. It was some interesting things. We did things very simply. We had some portable well drilling stuff that was operated by hand. And so it was beautiful, John, in that people were able to take care of their own problems. They didn't need someone from outside to come and do it for them.
Yeah.
They were able to do it, and then that gave them ownership of their well.
Yes.
And they looked after that pump and that well because they'd worked for it, and they owned it.
That's a good principle,
Yeah.
Otherwise, you stand back and watch. And when you stand back and watch, things fail
Yeah.
and wear out, and then you got to keep looking for someone else to come and fix it up.
We've got a photo of you with a well project, and you're being the water taster to make sure it was safe.
Yeah.
And I would think that I would give that to a national to check.
So this one was actually for a gravity-fed project up the north of Thailand, where we were piping water down from a spring up in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And bring it down and having water distribution places in the village.
I drink
Instead
that
of them
water.
having,
That's
instead of
good
them
water, John.
having to walk up into the jungle and
Yes.
get to the spring and
Yeah.
then bring the water back down
Again.
every how many times a day?
Yeah.
So
It's usually the work of a
Of the
lady,
woman.
of the woman,
Yeah.
to go out and do that water. And so this is allowing them to spend more time with the family, with the kids and so on.
So during your time as the ADRA director, you did water projects? Tell
We
us
did water projects. We did the mobile bus clinic,
Oh, yeah.
where we took a bus and converted into a mobile clinic.
Oh, we've got a photo of that too.
Oh, lovely. And so we were doing cataract surgery in that. The guy with the striped jumper in the middle was Dr. Subachai from Bangkok Chinese Church. And he would operate and do cataract surgery. And for people who are blind and then can see again, it was very rewarding.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice to be able to do that. And in the front part of the bus was a dental chair. And we had dentists that would come up again and do extractions and fillings and things like that, particularly up the north of Thailand and up in the northwest over by the Burmese border.
Yeah, so there aren't the hospitals like at Bangkok and other places. So going out there was a real blessing to those people.
Oh, it sure was, yeah.
You know, and that's a principle that Jesus taught, is to help your fellow man. And ADRA was doing that in Thailand. What other things? Were you involved with schools?
Yeah, we did some with the schools. We got involved with the Karens who came in from Burma. That's another story for another time. But we also did a lot of health projects, AIDS awareness, rice mills, rice banks, where we'd get a milling in their local village where they could get their
So you provided the
rice
equipment
milled.
and they bought
yes.
their grains and that there.
But one of the most exciting projects that still excites me now today was the revolving loan funds, where we'd put money into a village. People would take a loan for starting some kind of a business, family business in their village. And the group that was part of that had to have a corporate responsibility for that business. So typically in developing countries, people are, well, I'll stand on you to get ahead. I'll step on you to get ahead. But this taught them that they could get further ahead by doing it together. So if we've all got a business, I'm keen to see, Rosemary, how your business is going, because if you default on it, I'm liable as well.
But if you're doing well, then I will do well too.
Yes, that's right. So exactly. And it just worked out so brilliant. After about 4 years or 5 years, the interest earned from those loans was able to replace the capital that ADRA put in for that project, and we'd start that off again in another village elsewhere. And that bank would stay there operating in that village. We went back about 7 or 8 years later, almost 10 years later, and of the 10, 9 were still going. And it was interesting that the biggest impact that the health department said was that those villages where we were working, where ADRA was working, had more of an impact on the health than all the other districts in that province because of that was that ability to be able to work together. And it reminds me of some of the Adventist health studies where we know that Adventists were made live longer because of that community that we have.
And you're not fighting each other and stepping on each other.
Yes.
You're working together for the
yeah.
good of the whole.
Yes.
And so it breaks down a lot of those problems of interpersonal relationships.
Yes, exactly.
And people work more in harmony. And so their health is better because they've got a better sense of well-being.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tell us a
Very
little bit
good.
about the spiritual side. Were you able to bring Jesus to some of those people?
Well, I don't think we ever had any direct baptisms that we could say that was because of ADRA.
Yeah.
But so often through the north and the northeast of Thailand, church was able to be developed because of the presence of ADRA.
The people were more open.
So Thailand's a Buddhist country, and they're a little bit suspect of Christians coming in, but when they're seeing the Christians are being loving and lovable Christians, then that just warms people's heart. And
Yes.
so it's easy to do, once the barriers have been broken down, it's easier for the ministers and that to follow in after that and
That's right.
to get going. And this is the same thing as what happened with ADRA in Cambodia. After we'd been doing a number of projects there, it was easy for the Seventh-day Adventist Church to be recognised in Cambodia because of the work that ADRA was doing.
Very good. So, Robyn, how long were you in Singapore?
3 years.
3 years there.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of the work that was going out. So was that with ADRA ADRA Asia?
ADRA Asia. He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
running around all the different countries.
And you were
I was-
you were enjoying living in Singapore.
Yes, it was good. It was a good cultural stepping stone especially for the kids. It's a bit more westernised than
Ease.
Thailand.
Ease them back.
Ease them back and freedom. They could get out of the compound. They were allowed to leave the compound and they could catch a bus, where in Thailand it would be too dangerous to do that.
Yeah, so a compound was an enclosure around the residence to protect you from people
Yeah.
coming in at night, usually at night,
Yep.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Singapore's a very safe place.
Yes.
And so it was
That's
nice
right.
for the kids.
I remember walking there at night time, middle of the night, and you can just walk down the city street or whatever and feel
Without-
perfectly safe.
Yeah, not feeling any danger.
And it was very good.
So you came from the Australian culture and you went to the Asian culture. There was a lot of things you had to learn. What's some of the things that you were laughing? Tell us some of the things you had to learn.
Food.
Food and
Dress.
the dress. I think I was a bit better than you. But yeah,
What about having to bathe with a
with a sarong on.
with a sarong? Yeah, but also you've got your dipper, your little
Yes,
little
and going to the
thing
toilet.
with water
and
that you try and
wash yourself
put the
with.
water over
Yeah.
you, and it's cold. And
You get a bit used to that, but sometimes
Yeah.
it still is. But yeah, and going to the toilet, no toilet paper, and sitting on the squat toilets, and
Oh, you mentioned Dr. Kreider.
yeah,
And I remember the first time that I went to his house, I smelt this stuff, and it was terrible smell. And he invited me in and he said, "John, I want you to try this fruit. And folk, if you've not tried durian, I encourage you to do it, because he told me
I
when you
don't.
get to heaven, there are 12 varieties of durian on the
tree of life.
And I said, well, if that's the case, I'm not going.
So did you acquire a taste for durian?
We did. I can remember the first time, I was driving our van, had 8 or 10 people in it, and someone snuck a durian in the back of the car. And I thought, what's gone wrong? Is someone passing wind, or what's going on? And eventually, at a stop, found out what it was and said, "You've got to get this out. We're going to be sick." And
But they were all enjoying it.
Yeah, they loved it.
Did
So
you-
eventually, people kept on saying to us, "Oh, try this one. It's a good one. Oh, this is a really good one. This is the Montong or the Golden Pillar.
Yeah,
try this one. This is good." And eventually, after 3 years,
You became a connoisseur of...
we became a connoisseur and we went out and bought our own.
The best one I ever tasted, I always remember it reminded me of what I would expect from rancid popcorn. And that's the best I ever had.
Did you learn to...
I learnt to, but at first I couldn't because it was just like slime.
Yes.
Oh,
But then people say it's like custard, but it was slime.
it was creamy. I always thought it was creamy.
Yeah.
It was
Now,
lovely.
you were in Singapore for 3 years. What happened
Correct.
after that?
So we're at a point where our daughter Julie was needing to go to high school. She was attending Forestry Academy on the compound, and that was great. But that finished then, and the Americans
At
would
year
go
8.
back. Yeah, year 8, and then the Americans would go back to to go to college and so on. And so we were debating whether if we stayed there, whether we'd put her into an Australian school in Singapore, or whether we'd come back to Australia, or what. We just couldn't work out what to do. The cost of Australian school is about $50,000 a year. That was close to my salary.
Yeah.
And again, God's timing is just wonderful. We got a call to come back to run the international program for ADRA Australia.
Okay.
And that was just, again, in timing. And God's timing is not rough. It's just worked out perfectly.
That's right.
And so we moved back to Australia, and we were coming home. But for Julie and Stephen, they were moving.
They
to
were
a new
leaving
country.
home.
Yes. And so they took a bit of adjustment for them to fit back in Australia.
So what did your
Well-
kids do when they came back? They go and study? What did they...
Yeah, they went into, we moved to Cooranbong,
Yeah.
and they went to Avondale. Julie went into high school and Stephen was in year 6, I think it was, in primary school. For the first 3 months, Julie was in the library every recess and lunch. She was just hiding, you know. She's a very outgoing person, but
No friends. Didn't
no
know.
friends.
And
It was just so scary.
people were a little bit different to what
Yeah.
she was.
And like with me, it was all the games were different and what they talked about and what they watched on TV, and you know, it was just so different.
They look different.
They looked different.
Missionary kids.
Yeah.
That's the term.
Third culture kids.
Yeah.
MKs.
And
So they adjusted?
they adjusted.
Yeah.
They've got lots of friends from high school, friends from college, friends. Yeah.
So what did they choose to do in life? Did they study to any profession?
Julie did nursing.
Yes, like mum
And
Yeah.
Dad.
and
Yeah.
dad.
Dad and
And
Rob's
grandparents.
parents
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So she's a very successful emergency nurse down the South Coast. And Steve's had a couple of careers. He did started doing teaching and thought, I'm not sure I want to do this, and did plumbing and in the construction side of that. Eventually he said, I want to make a difference in kids' lives. And he went back and finished his teaching degree and
Good
he's
on him.
teaching now at Avondale High.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was through you that we ended up in Nepal.
Mm.
So thank you for that.
Our pleasure, and I'm
That's
sure
an
Nepal was better for it too.
That was an interesting life.
Yeah.
So how long were you with Adra Australia?
I was with Adra Australia for about 10 years, and with God's blessing, the national program that I managed, which is the part of Adra that works overseas.
Okay.
And we grew it from a very small program that quadrupled in size and staff and things like that, not because of what we did, but because of God's blessing.
So when you
Yeah.
say overseas, we're talking mainly in the Pacific Islands? or-
So Adra Australia was working in the eastern coast of Africa,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
through Asia, Mongolia and Indonesia and Vietnam, and
So you're still involved with Asia?
yeah, still involved with Asia.
Pacific.
And then through the Pacific as well. So Adra Australia was funding projects, in all through that area. So I still spent a lot of time travelling, and Robyn did a lot of the work of bringing up the kids while I was away. And
And nursing at the same?
Nurse. Well, no, I went to community nursing.
Oh, that's right. You were here.
yeah. And again, I've just got to give credit to Robyn. Sometimes the guy is out in the front in the limelight, but we've got to give credit and acknowledge the wife behind us. And what's the saying goes? Behind every good man is the wife that
There's an even better wife.
And we just got to, and I want to acknowledge that too. Robyn's been a wonderful support for in our lives.
What you
and
did.
what we've done, and
Yeah.
things like that together.
Yeah.
Even in Thailand, Rob ran the guest rooms, which became our house. There was no guest rooms in Thailand then, and so Rob would always welcome people. And there was one time we counted we had visitors in our house for 6
months.
6 months.
Continually,
Continually,
night.
Every night.
People would be coming and going. We think, oh, people are going, and then
Someone else.
Someone else is coming.
Yeah.
And that's really an interesting thing.
Yeah, that happened to us too. Right now, we're just going to go to our address roll. So if you want to contact us about any of our programs, if you want to find out about any of the products that we have, you can contact us at these details.
If you would like to contact 3ABN Australia, you may do so in the following ways. You may write to 3ABN Australia, PO Box 752, Morisset, New South Wales 2264, Australia. Or you may call 02 4973 3456. That's 02 4973 3456. You may also email us at mail@3abnaustralia.org.au. That's mail@3 ABNaustralia, all one word, .org.au. Thank you for all you do to help us light the world with the glory of God's truth.
I hope you've got those details, because we'd like to hear from you. And if you have any desire to help this ministry, we encourage you to do so. We thank you for all the support you've given us. And, you know, Warren, I'm thinking about your lives. 50 years, you said you'll be 50 years married, and your experience covers a long period of time. And I just wondered, what happened to you when you came back? What did you do?
So, yeah, we worked for 10 years, and then there was a change in leadership who wanted some, you know, his own staff there. And I was the first to leave ADRA, not of my choosing. And I was, you know, I'd worked for ADRA 25 years by now. And
It'd be a hard thing to take.
What do you
It was
do?
very, very hard. I was just, it broke me. And eventually I went back to nursing, and but it was during that stage where I had to, you know, reevaluate things and things like that. And my son Steve said something to me just about a few months ago, and he said, "It's when you left ADRA, Dad, that's when I got my dad back."
That's a lovely thought.
And so while that was gut-wrenching at the time,
All things work together.
all things work together for good, not some or most. And so that was a blessing. And so went back to nursing. We spent 6 years in Broome, where we...
That's a beautiful place too.
Broome's a beautiful spot. It was nice there. And 6 years in Alice Springs as well. In both places, either head elder or treasurer, but had a leadership role in the churches there. We got Doug Batchelor coming out to Broome and for Derby for a reaping there, and that was an exciting times. But it was during my time in Alice where I found out that I had renal cell carcinoma in my right kidney, and so I had my right kidney removed. And that was a bit of a shock when my brother Owen had pancreatic cancer, and his daughter Delwyn died of breast cancer. And then for me to find that too was quite a shock as well. But I had surgery, and that was fine. There's no problems. It was just, again, God's guiding and leading. The friends I had in Alice Springs organised all the surgery down in Adelaide and things like that. And then 3 years later, back in 23, the further checks found out that I got cancer again in my left kidney. And I thought, gee, how much kidney can you live on? And so they took a part of my kidney out on the left kidney, so I've now got about half or 2/3 of a kidney, and I can still live a normal life.
But one day.
And I praise God that, you know, that the redundancy we have in our human bodies, that we can still do that.
We are wonderfully and fearlessly made.
Fearfully made.
Fearfully made.
And Robyn has still got to put up with it.
So we look back and we see the way God's guided and led. And as we travelled around Australia last year, we shared our testimony to be a blessing to others, not for ourselves, but I wanted to do it while we still had our health.
Yeah,
Very
that's
good.
right. That's a good idea. Do what you can for God while you're still living, and use your money for God while you're still alive to see it happen. Thank you, Warren and Robyn. We've really enjoyed you being here, and I'm sure you have too. God bless.